Second episode of the week here on Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers. David Kahn, Kyle Schasberger with you, and a special guest, the 32nd year head coach at Georgia Tech, Danny Hall, joins us here on the program as we get set to take a look back at some of the midweek results coming up a little bit after our conversation with Coach Hall, and we'll preview what's sure to be an exciting weekend number 10 in college baseball. But first and foremost, freshly off the practice field, Danny Hall is with us. Remember, the head coach of the 2025 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets at 29-8 on the season, 14-4 in the ACC, the winningest head coach in all of Georgia Tech sports history, who announced 3 weeks ago that he's stepping away from coaching following the conclusion of the 2025 season. Any second thoughts yet, Coach? It's been 3 weeks.
No second thoughts. It's been, my biggest thing when I announced it was I just didn't want any distractions for the team. And to the team's credit, they've just kept rolling along, and it's been fun to be part of, and just look forward to, kind of riding these guys and going down the stretch with them here in this season.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you talk about the timing of all this and not wanting the team to get distracted by the decision for you to retire at the end of this year. Tell us why 2025? Why was this the time that you selected? This is going to be it. I'm going to step away from the game after this season.
Well, I've told people that I've had a baseball uniform on since I was 8 years old. So every summer I've been able to put a uniform on, and then obviously through high school, through playing in college at Miami of Ohio, and then starting my coaching career right after my playing career ended. So I just felt like it was the right time for me. And, and I did think going into the year that even though we're young, that we had a chance to have a really good team. And, so far so good, as they say. And so definitely excited about, what we've been able to do, and looking forward to, the next few weeks and see how this team keeps going on the journey.
Danny, we do want to focus on this year's team and not make this all about the retirement. I'm sure you're tired of talking about that. There's still baseball to be played. We may pepper in a few regarding your exit and maybe the mojo this team is playing with. But let's talk about this start for Georgia Tech this season. Maybe there is a greater purpose now that you've put that decision out there. It certainly feels that way. I made the statement a few weeks ago. This team may have a little bit of Danny Hall magic, if you will, in pursuit of a fourth Omaha trip under your watch. Ramblin' Rack off to its best start in 15 years, already 5 ACC series wins under their belt, a 3-game lead in the win column in the ACC. What do you believe has enabled this team to be so lethal here with 4 or 5 weeks remaining in the regular season?
I think we've played really good in all 3 phases. We obviously have some really, really good hitting numbers. We've been able to play good defense most of the time. And then our pitching just has been really, really good, and probably our couple of our starters, Tate McKee and Brady Jones, have done a really good job. We have a bullpen ace in Mason Patel, and if you look at his numbers, that's the reason we're off to a great start. Like, he's been involved in a lot of our games and gotten decisions in a lot of our games, so he's definitely been an X factor in the bullpen to help us get wins. But I think it's just playing good in all phases of the game. They have pretty good belief, and they compete hard for 9 innings. And I think that competitive spirit has just propelled us to where we are.
I'm double-checking a text message I had with your radio guy, Colin Lacey, yesterday. He used to do some work. We used to collaborate together at his previous stop. We won't get into that, but Colin told me that he calls Mason Patel, and I'm just double-checking. I think it's the vulture is the word that he has from him. I mean, he's tied for the national lead in victories with an 8-1 overall record, yet hasn't started a single game, Danny, and has already thrown for more innings at 43 and a third than any of the previous 4 seasons of his career, both at Tech and Georgia State. Heck, his 8 wins are already 2 more than the previous 4 seasons combined. Is it Taylor or is it Richmond? Because Jason Richmond, along with Matt Taylor, those two, it's a director of pitching and it's a pitching coach, what they have combined to do. Who's more responsible for cracking the code into how to best utilize the 6'1" Knoxville, Tennessee native in Patel?
Well, I think it's definitely Matt Taylor and Jason Richmond. They they kind of came up with, using him, in different spots. It's high leverage situations. So that might be in the fourth, fifth inning of a game. And then if his pitch count stays down, he just, we ride him. It may be for an inning. I think he finished the game on Sunday here against Cal, and I think he got 3 outs and threw something like 13 pitches. So he's been very efficient with his pitches. Matt Taylor had recruited him to Georgia State, and then we were able, when Matt kind of cycled back to us as our pitching coach, Mason transferred, to Tech. And to your point, like, this is by far the best year that he has been able to have. But I think it's a combination, Mason putting the work in, but Matt Taylor and Jason Richmond, I think, have just kind of changed his pitch package a little bit, added, a couple pitches here and there. And then, the end of the day, it's up to Mason. He's just gone out and competed great for us.
Yeah, he certainly has. Is Mason Patel 8-1, a 1.87 ERA in 12 appearances so far for Georgia Tech in 43 and a third innings. As head coach Danny Hall joins us here on Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers. Coach, there was a D1 baseball article written about this team's success compared to other recent Georgia Tech teams over the weekend. And one of the primary things pointed out was the improved pitching staff that you just brought up, of course, led by Mason Patel in the back end of that bullpen, Tate McKee, Brady Jones in the rotation, that 1-2 punch. How have your pitching coach, Matt Taylor, and your director of pitching, Jason Richmond, come in and flip that switch over the last few seasons, really culminating in what this year's team has done so far?
Well, I think they both had an idea of what, they felt like our pitching staff needed to look like. And they did a tremendous job last year in the portal of getting some arms in here that, probably throw a lot of strikes, have velocity, and kind of, enjoy the competitive part of it. The league we play in is a tough league with a lot of great teams and coaches and hitters. So I think they deserve the credit. And, we've recognized it for a few years. We've had some outstanding hitting teams, but we've had a hard time just getting enough pitchers to get through a regional or get through an ACC season to where you're finishing towards the top and having a chance to host a regional. So I think they deserve, all the credit. And then they have just put good plans together each and every game on, how we're going to manage this game and try to win.
Yeah, the strikeout numbers that you brought up at the beginning of that very eloquent answer right there are really the most staggering to me. 10 2/3 strikeouts per 9 entering the week. Program record of 10 back in 1998. So you keep this pace up, you're going to be setting yet another record on your way out the door here in 2025. They call this brain trust of the pitching minds, Coach Taylor, Coach Richmond, the pitching dojo, right? That's what it's called?
That is what it's called. Don't ask me how we came up with that name. I think they might have come up with it on their own, and but it just stuck, and we've just rolled with it. Like they, we have a nice pitching lab, and our hitting cages kind of are adjacent to the dojo, and they just kind of hang out in there all day and stare at their computers and stare at numbers and figure out, okay, what does Mason Patel need to do today, and how can we tweak maybe a pitch or two? And but they spend a lot of time in there, and that's their probably little secret on why they call it the dojo.
Well, Danny, I'm in the dojo every day, but that's the Class Dojo. It's an app on my iPhone for my daughter's school, her 4th grade communication with her teachers through an app called the Class Dojo. So not quite the same. Let's get into the offense. Most high-octane offense in P4 here entering the week as you lead in batting average, hits, doubles, OBP, runs per 9 innings. Only ACC team and one of 5 Power 4 teams to be ranked inside the top 25 in both runs per 9 and ERA. Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU, West Virginia, the others. And what might be the most absurd thing, Georgia Tech has won at least one game in each ACC series by mercy rule. For each run y'all win by, are you offering up like currency to the varsity or what?
No, yeah, maybe that'd be a good idea, Or Fox Brothers barbecue, maybe they might like that even as much as the varsity. But everybody knows the varsity. Not everybody knows Fox Brothers.
Well, enlighten us. Tell us about Fox Brothers. We could
Fox
plug
Brothers
in.
is great. Like whether it's barbecue or chicken wings or ribs, they got a little bit of everything. And people in Atlanta know all about Fox Brothers barbecue. But no, I just think it's we've got a lot of guys that have contributed up and down our lineup. Kyle Lodis has just been tremendous in the leadoff position, a kid that transferred in here from Augusta. And, so he's kind of ignited us. Obviously, everybody knows about Drew Burris. And Kent Schmidt was in there for quite a while. He's been out a few weeks now with a little bit of a toe injury. But, I think we'll get him back hopefully, by the end of this month. So I just think it's been a combination of guys just contributing. And then James Ramsey, you got to give him a lot of credit. Josh Schulman. They spend a lot of time in those batting cages right next to the dojo, and we train at a high level. I think that's the other thing is that the training piece of it and using technology to try to make our hitters the best they can be. I think we've done a great job with that.
Yeah, certainly agree with that with the results that Georgia Tech has put out this year, and not alone, the last couple of years as well. You guys have been a very high octane offense, and certainly glad to hear that Kent Schmidt, Kyle Lodis are going to be returning soon, with those guys really kind of being a great sandwich around Drew Burris, who's one of 3 players with 14 or more doubles on this Georgia Tech team, making them the only program in the country with that honor, but certainly will help a guy like Drew continue to produce even more when you get guys like Kent and Kyle back around him in that lineup. What is it like coaching Drew Burris? The guy is the mark of consistency. He leads all Power 4 teams in doubles. He's reached in 54 straight games entering the week. Really, he hasn't missed a beat since his freshman of the year season last year.
No, he's one of a kind. That's kind of how I describe him. Like he wants to win in the worst way. He puts an extreme amount of time into his craft and in all phases, like hitting, defense, base running. He's very dedicated to the weight room and he's a powerful package. So we're fortunate to have him. He had a great year last year, and he's in the middle of another really, really good year. And I know, in my opinion, like he's done a lot of good things already, but he really hasn't gotten red hot. And maybe that's part of the competition. They don't want him to get red hot, so he's not getting a lot of pitches to hit. But, I fully expect him down the stretch here to, kind of start doing Drew Burris type things because he wants to win more than anybody.
It's so crazy to think about a guy hitting 361 with 12 homers, 46 runs batted in. He's walked 8 more times than he's struck out. He's got an on-base percentage of 478, and you're telling me he hasn't reached Drew Burris level yet? Like that's insane to think about. One of the other guys you mentioned a lot in this offensive lineup. Well, I also want to bring in the freshman, Alex Hernandez, part of what has really been the makeup of a younger team for you compared to last season. He's hitting 355, OPS better than all but 3 freshmen in Power 4, 45 runs batted in, and he's the only underclassman, one of 3 players nationally to both record a save and hit 10 or more home runs this year on the John Olerud 2A Player of the Year Award watch list, of course, because of this. However, he's only thrown 6 innings in total in 4 appearances last March 18th against Gardner-Webb. How would you measure the significance of the seemingly unflappable play of a guy that young doing things as extraordinary as he is?
I think you described him perfectly. He's unflappable. Like he has no idea what he's doing for a freshman, and I'm not going to wake him up anytime soon. I'll just say it like that. But we knew that we at least thought he was going to be a good player, but I don't think you can ever expect a freshman to hit the ground running the way he has. But I mean, he's been really good in the middle of our lineup. He's kind of settled into being our everyday starter at second base, and he's turning double plays really well now. You can just see him getting better defensively each and every day, and then he has good at bats just every time he plays. He has a way of just grinding guys, getting the pitches that he can hit, and he hasn't missed too many of them. So he's been fun to watch, and he has been a big part of our offense.
Is there going to be any more opportunities for him to get reps on the hill at all? What is the plan for him in terms of being able to hurl on the mound?
We've kept him throwing bullpens, and I do think there'll be a spot here, where he's going to get some reps on the mound, because he is very good there too, and I think can definitely, going down the stretch, add some depth to particularly our bullpen. And it's just been probably me more than anybody, just being very cautious with him, and he's playing so good at second, and he's hitting in the middle of the order. Not to put too much on his plate, but our school will end here in a couple of weeks, and I could definitely see, as we get into May, where, he maybe has a few more opportunities to help us on the mound as well.
Sure. Well, I think most would trust your judgment. 32 years at Georgia Tech, 38 years overall, 1,232 wins, 665 losses, 1 tie at Georgia Tech. And this week, you played at Truist Park against Georgia, number 5 team in the country, home at the Atlanta Braves. Even after doing this for so long, Danny, do you get chills still of any kind, or nerves coaching in a bigger ballpark, Major League Baseball one?
Well, I think I get nerves every game. So, that's the beauty of my job. Like, you just never know what's going to happen on a given day. And a lot of times you'll see something you've never seen before. But, we're very thankful to the Braves for letting us play Georgia in there. We hadn't played in there, I think, since maybe 2018. So it's the first time we've been able to get back in there. And unfortunately, we lost last night, but Georgia's a really good team. And, but it's a thrill. Most of my team is from the state of Georgia, so they grow up watching the Braves. They are excited to go in there and play at Truist Park. And, I think we ended up with about 15,000 fans last night. So, they get a chance to play in front of a lot of fans. And the game is great for the fans, because you got both sides, wanting their team to do well. But no, it's a thrill, and then it's for a great cause. Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, kind of their pediatric cancer center. So we raised a lot of money to, help kids that, aren't as fortunate as us and my team to get a chance to play baseball.
Yeah, that's a sweet twist as well in that game being played at Truist Park on Tuesday. You have a pretty sweet track you play on also in Russ Chandler Stadium. 3 times named National Field of the Year, 08, 14, in 2019, nestled right there. Very intimate space, 3,700 or so right there in Midtown Atlanta. I'm curious, with this being your final year, Danny, is there an ACC ballpark that you can share with us, other than Russ Chandler Stadium, that you're going to miss the most, and maybe a ballpark that you're going to be happy you'll never have to return to again?
I'll miss them all. Like one of the neat things happened, not last weekend, a couple weekends ago, we got to play at Stanford, and I had never coached a game at Stanford. My son Carter, who played here, and he's an agent now for Excel Sports Management. So he went out there when he was 17 years old. I took him out there on an official visit. Mark Marquis was the head coach, and they made him a great offer, but Carter decided he wanted to stay and play for the old man. So, I think he still looks at that as a good decision, hopefully. But no, that was just kind of neat for me to, say, hey, I coached 3 games at Stanford University. And so I thought that was pretty neat. But there's a lot of great ballparks in our league. I would say, in the past, coaching against Mike Martin in Florida State, that was always, just a major challenge for me, quite honestly. I respected the heck out of him. I'm sorry that he passed away, but man, he's sitting at the top of the leaderboard for college coaches, and I think it was 40 wins a year or more for 40 straight years. That's unheard of. So I always enjoyed that, but Clemson and North Carolina and Virginia, I could just go on and on of just great ballparks and great fan bases that make this league special.
Yeah, certainly agree with that, and love that you bring in the legendary Mike Martin as well as a part of your answer there. Of course, we all sorely miss him as a part of this college baseball community. You brought up earlier on in this conversation the fact that a lot of your Georgia Tech team is from the state of Georgia, and you take a lot of pride in that. And I see that especially because of the fact that you've had 147 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets getting their name called in the MLB draft. And a lot of them find their way back to the flats. They give back to this program. You've really taken a lot of initiative to make a name for this program, for yourself, for this team, and encourage these guys to remember where they came from and to come back and give back. And of course, notably Mark Teixeira, whose now name resides on your locker room. He spearheaded a complete overhaul of the team facilities. How special is it for you to have such strong relationships with your former players, with this state of Georgia, and see everyone willingly contribute back to the program that pushed them to their professional dreams?
Oh, I think it's very important to me, and and I think it's important to Georgia Tech. And you mentioned Teixeira. He's been just unbelievable since the day he left here and signed a pro contract of, wanting us to continue to do well. And he's contributed a lot of his hard-earned money from playing Major League Baseball back to the program. Matt Wieters and Charlie Blackman are two guys that also have just stepped up to, donate money back to the program to try to help us win. But there's so many guys, and I will say this, like my wife, Kara, does a tremendous job of encouraging these guys through text messages to come back, and she kind of hosts them in a home plate suite here each and every time we play on the weekend. And that just keeps these guys coming back around. They feel like they're involved in the program, and I want them to, feel like they're involved. And, you mentioned a number of draft picks. Like, I think a lot of that is, the beauty of being in our state is there's great high school baseball and amateur baseball in our state. But I also think we've done a great job of developing the talent, developing players, putting good teams together. And I think with Christian Campbell making the big leagues this year, I think we now have 38 major league players in my 32 years. So I take tremendous pride in that, and I enjoy watching these guys. I don't get a chance to watch them as much right now because we're busy, but I try to stay up with them and just see how they're doing each and every day at the major league level.
Danny Hall finishing our sandwiches right now because I was going to jump in with the Christian Hall with the Red Sox. Super cool. Awesome thing for him and your program to continue to build and enhance that reputation and something that you've had your fingerprints all over for 32 years. Let's go back to midweeks matter and that matchup with Georgia earlier this week. The midweeks for you in this program have been littered with, in-state opponents, which I understand that makes sense logistically and travel wise. And you have Auburn coming up next week. That's close enough. You had Gardner-Webb very early on, but everybody else from the state of Georgia, what value is there beyond the logistics in teeing it up with teams that resonate maybe inside the state with the fan base and with players on your team in the state regionally?
I think it's important. And one of the things I've always done since, I've been here is we play home and home with every Division I school in the state. The only one we wouldn't this year is West Georgia, but they're kind of new to the game in Division I, and we did play them here. But we always go to Georgia Southern. We go to Mercer. We go to Kennesaw State. This year we did not go to Georgia State, but they came here. But I think that helps college baseball in the state. When we go down to Statesboro, they're going to put 3,000 plus fans in that stadium, and it's very loud and they're very vocal. So that's always early in February, and I just think it's a good way for us to get on the road, kind of get in a hostile environment. But I do think it's important, not just for us, but those teams are all good, and most of the players on those teams wish that they were playing at Georgia Tech or Georgia, so they really want to beat you, and we're usually going to get their best shot. And then the tough part is, we played Georgia last night. We've already played Auburn here at home. Now we go to Auburn. So those games are tough games because you got two really, really good SEC opponents that you're playing midweek. And I would just say, there's not a lot of schools that kind of have that right in their backyard.
But Danny, on the road, y'all are 10-1 in true road environments this year. Something that hasn't been done in 130 years, 1895. You already swept half of the ACC schedule to this point. 3 sweeps over Notre Dame, Stanford, and Cal. That's 3 sweeps against the league for the first time since 2011, with 4 league weekends remaining, starting with a visit to Miami. The Road Warriors of Tech going out to Coral Gables this weekend before that test at Auburn. What is it about going on the road for this team this year? Is it a case of y'all putting something in your own water that you bring on the road, or what?
No, I just think these guys like to play. That's what I would say. They just like the competition. They like playing. They like probably playing on the road, in some of these hostile environments. And, we've had some big challenges, like a couple spots we went early, Virginia Tech and Notre Dame. It was quite cold at both those places. So, it's been good to see our guys kind of deal with that adversity. Stanford, we had never been there. And so, just the idea of going to the West Coast, dealing with the time change, and still playing good baseball. And now here's another challenge, going to Coral Gables. And Miami won 2 out of 3 from Duke last week. They look like maybe they're going in a really, really good direction right now. So there's no easy ones in our league, and that's what makes it great. And and it just gives you a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, certainly agree with that. There are no easy wins in the ACC. And now this year with the modified ACC tournament coming up in the end of May, when the event shifts back to Durham, all the teams are making it. No more pool play. The top 4 seeds receive a double bye into the quarterfinal round. That sound good to you? Are you good with that?
Yeah, once you give it to me right now, and I'll take it if I knew we had a double bye. But yeah, I think it's good. We talked about it at our conference meeting in the fall, and I think we were all in favor of putting more teams in the tournament, kind of going to a single elimination, and we'll see how it goes. We've got a lot of teams in our conference now, and I'll share a little story with you. So last 2 Sundays ago at Stanford, we're getting ready to play. It's like 10 minutes before the game, and they're like, okay, now throwing out the first pitch, Andrew Luck. And so Andrew Luck marches out, throws out the first pitch. And when he gets done throwing the pitch, he's coming right towards our dugout. So I'm like, what's he doing? So he comes over, comes right at me, and just kind of said, hey, I want to congratulate you on everything you've done, in your career. And, you've impacted a lot of lives. And then I won't tell you exactly what he said, but the next words out of his mouth were, can you believe we are blankety blank in the ACC? And he took off.
Man, that is fantastic. Andrew Luck, of course, the general manager of Stanford's football program. What a moment for you. And hopefully, I'm sure not the last of many congratulatory moments for you in your final season as the head coach of Georgia Tech, as Danny Hall joins us here on Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers. We have talked about your team a lot. Let's talk about you. Let's get into the retirement that is upcoming. I know it's not something you want to focus on fully. We do want to touch on it a little bit. Have you thought about it all, what you're going to do with your time when you're not manning a dugout anymore?
Oh, I thought about it. My wife's thought about it a lot, because I think she knows she doesn't want me around the house all the time. It'd be a bigger adjustment for her maybe than me. I don't know. But no, I think like this, I think I know myself pretty well. And I think I know I don't want to work 60 to 80 hours a week and work every weekend and maybe have to entertain, recruiting calls and everything that goes into this job. But I do love the game. If I can find something to where I'm helping players or helping somebody, with the game, I'd probably like to do that, or at least try that, see what that's like. And, I know you guys know who John Morosi is. So I've gotten a chance to, kind of know him pretty good. And he was in here last week when the Phillies were playing the Braves, and he swung by right before practice just to say hello. And he kind of planted a seed in my mind that, kind of perked me a little bit, talking about the World Baseball Classic, USA Baseball. And he said, why don't you offer your services to one of these foreign teams over in Europe or somewhere like that? He goes, they would die to have a coach of your expertise, kind of giving them advice and consulting with them. And so he kind of struck a little bit of a nerve with me on, maybe that, but I'll find something to do. I don't know right now. I've kind of been offered to stick around here, maybe in a little bit of a consulting role. And I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but I'll cross those bridges once, the final chapter is written in Danny Hall here at Georgia Tech.
Well, we certainly hope that final chapter is not written until the end of June and it ends with a dog pile in Omaha for your Yellow Jackets. So you look for your 4th trip to Omaha here with Georgia Tech. I'm curious. One of the lesser known things about you, you have an author's credit on your resume. You contributed to a book back called Baseball Strategies, produced by the ABCA back in 2002. You offered your thoughts up on base running techniques, which is another thing that's really propelled this Georgia Tech team to the success they've had. 61 stolen bases coming into this week. Can we expect a Danny Hall autobiography or maybe some other type of novel? Are you going to write during your retirement?
I don't know about that. It's been quite a while since I've written anything, but other than just notes and practice and stuff like that. But I don't think that's probably in the cards, but I would never say no. Let's put it that way.
Totally get that. What do you think you're going to miss most about coaching?
Just the players. That keeps me awake at night. I've just been around young people a long, long time, and that's the fun part of just seeing guys come into your program, see where they end up, not only in baseball but where they end up after they get a degree from Georgia Tech, and kind of see what they do after baseball. Like that is super fun and super cool, and that'll be what I miss the most.
Are there any other coaches in the industry that you had maybe consulted with outside your immediate family? Of course, it's the most important when coming to do decision. But have you leaned on any other coaches, maybe a pulmonary and such, as you carved out the next chapter of your life and coming up with this final decision?
Really haven't. I was pretty much just talking a lot with my wife, and and making sure she was good with everything. But it was more just a personal decision for me, and just speaking with her, and then speaking with my 2 sons about it. And spoke with my mother, who's still alive, lives in Ohio. She's 89, and she
God bless.
she was happy. She was happy that I'd kind of made the decision, and she's hopeful that I'll see her a lot more. I know that, and I'm sure I will.
Yeah, you were the head coach at Kent State for 6 years prior to coming to Georgia Tech, but you went to Miami, Ohio. You played for the Red Hawks. So your mother, Godspeed to her. That's good. You're going to be able to spend some good time with her coming up for sure. I know that is you have all the best intentions for that, and I know you'll make it happen. You told us before we hit record, we'll get you out on this, Danny, and you've been extremely gracious with your time. Thank you for spending with us and our listeners. There was a fraternity that was fortunate enough following your practice to get out on the field and take some batting practice. What can you share about the fraternity, maybe how they were dressed, what kind of ensemble they were sporting on the field, what kind of trivial contest did they have to earn for this? And are we worried about the upkeep, the conditions of the field following this batting practice session?
Well, there was quite a few of them that showed up. So it was a contest of last weekend when we played Cal. The fraternity that had the most people kind of come through the turnstiles would get to take BP on the field. And my operations guy, Scott Strickland, former coach at the University of Georgia, is out there throwing BP. I can still hear the bats pinging a little bit. But I think that fraternity in particular, there's a young man in there that is kind of on our analytics team. And so he got the honors of being the first guy to get in the cage and hit. But the third guy in there kind of got my attention. He was hitting the ball really good to the opposite field, hit a line drive up the middle before I came up here to get on with you guys. But I think it's just a goodwill gesture. Those guys are important to us to show up and, make a lot of noise and hopefully harass the other team a little bit to make it a tough environment on them to play. And but it was kind of our marketing staff, and then Coach Strickland was the one that really said it, like, hey, let's offer the fraternity with the best attendance that they get a chance to hit on the field. But they're extremely excited, and grounds guys probably aren't real happy with me, but yeah, I'm sure they'll be fine with it.
Hey,
yeah, I think you'll make it up to him for sure.
Yeah, well worth it. Pay it forward. Danny Hall, head coach of Georgia Tech in his 32nd season. It'll be his last. 7 ACC regular season championships, 5 ACC tournaments, and time still to add to that mantle. 4-time ACC Coach of the Year, a Hall of Famer as well. Danny Hall, thank you so much for spending the time with us on Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers. Best of luck the rest of the way. And life after baseball, at least after coaching, we thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me on. It's been a blast.
Thank you, Coach.
A true teammate takes on every day with a winner's attitude, gets up when they fall down, and leaves it all on the field. There's a group of teammates who do all these things every single day. But they're more than your typical athlete. They're kids dealing with unthinkable medical circumstances. Team Impact matches children facing serious illness or disability with college sports teams, creating a long-term, life-changing experience for everyone involved. Help us get all kids in the game. Visit teamimpact.org. Team Impact. All in, all together.
College softball season is in full swing, and we're just the ones to talk about it. Join me, former Stanford Cardinal and award-winning broadcaster Jenna Becerra and Amanda Lorenz every week as we deliver the latest in college softball on the D1 Softball Podcast. We've got all the latest, whether it is in the circle or in the batter's box. We have interviews with coaches, players, and many more. We'll go through the week's top 25 poll and give our insights, as well as our plays, wins, and whiffs of the week. Let us get you in the know on all things college softball. Listen on d1softball.com and the Varsity Network app.
Nothing like 32 minutes with the 32nd year head coach, Danny Hall of Georgia Tech, here for our second episode of the week on Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers. David Kahn, Kyle Schasberger with you. Shas, my goodness. I mean, the words of wisdom from Danny Hall, the fervor that he still coaches with, even at the ripe young age of 70 years old, just really, it hits home for me. I was getting a little emotional listening to him talk about how much he loves his players, how much he loves his job, and, you know, how much he is not looking forward to retirement because he wants to win so bad, just like Drew Burris does.
Yeah, he's going to miss the players. He's going to miss the relationships. That's not as much surprising. It was good, though, to hear the authenticity behind the nerves that he gets before each and every game. I mean, he cares. I love that. I certainly hope that, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, when I'm Danny Hall's age, that I get just as nervous when I'm hitting record on this podcast with one David Kahn. As we will still be coming to you twice a week once March Madness comes to a close here on Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers. Gosh.
Season 50.
Season 50. Gosh. Man, if we're still doing this in 40 years, Kahn, man, God bless. I mean, we should be given a Lifetime Achievement Award.
We should be given a lifetime pass to Major League Baseball, like one Jason Grilli used the other day to bring his son to Pittsburgh to watch Paul Skeens pitch. You know what the lifetime pass is for Major League Baseball? Do you know what this is? The Golden Pass?
No.
Okay, so every MLB player who has 8 years of service time in Major League Baseball gets a lifetime pass. Also, if you're a front office staff member for 25 years, you get a lifetime pass. All you do, you bring it to the ticket window, you hand them the lifetime pass, you and a guest get the best seats available for free. Any ballpark, doesn't matter.
Okay, so you're saying we might be able to get that if we continue to podcast? Can we cash that in on, a podcast lifetime pass to allow us entry into any Major League Baseball game of our choice with the best available seats? Is that what you otherwise I don't understand why this is relevant right now, other than the fact that I am going to Pittsburgh on Friday.
That's the lead-in. You got the tease, baby. Tell me everything.
Okay, here are the negotiating terms. We will react to the midweek here quickly and momentarily, and then tee up the weekend for you, and then we are gone because Danny Hall is the main attraction. Anything after this, not to say it doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter, okay? Danny Hall is the star, all right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Here's the negotiation that the Duck had to agree to. His wife is a master negotiator. The terms, okay? Number one, for him to get 1 day away, to be able to come hang out with me, each of us driving round trip more than 12 hours for 1 day in Pittsburgh and a one-night stay, just so we can break bread together and manifest ultimate bromance destiny, okay? He's got to agree to a couple's weekend in Madison, Wisconsin, and also get and take care of the babysitter arrangements for Rambo, a.k.a. Bodog. Sounds easy, simple, no big deal, okay? Madison, Wisconsin, couples getaway, romantic. Number two, though, he has agreed to provide her with another child starting next month.
What?
He must. Well, I think most of our listeners or viewers at this point are doing the math or the calculus inside their head, but they must begin working on a second child. So Donnie, to get one night in Pittsburgh, has agreed to bring another kid into the world 1 month before his first child turns 1. So Rambo turns 1 next month. And then they're immediately going to start, and this may start as soon as he gets back from Pittsburgh, Saturday night ahead of Easter. So I don't know, but the festivities will commence on working towards bringing another beating heart, their second child, into the world. That's what he had to agree to in order to get a night with me in the Steel City. Amazing.
Wow. That's incredible stuff. I mean, early congratulations to the Duck on his second kid. And his wife. I don't know his wife's name, but congratulations to them both. Caitlin. All right, Rambo, going to be 1 soon. Amazing. Time flies. And going to be working on kid number 2, it sounds like, after a joyous 24 to 36 hours-ish in Pittsburgh, where you'll be hitting a Pirates game. You won't see Paul Skeens, unfortunately. You'll be hitting Permane Bros. Can't wait to hear all about it. I love Pittsburgh, the Steel City. Take that walk across the bridge. It's magical. Just take the sights in as you pull into the city of Pittsburgh through the bridge. You will emerge through a tunnel, and it's like you're being transported to a whole new world. So I can't wait to hear about that. Also, Pudge homered on Tuesday.
Pudge had her first home run of this season of 10U. Yeah, I mean, Little League home run. Let's be real. There were a couple of there were a couple there, but hey, she ripped one to the left side, which is opposite field for her as a lefty.
Yes.
Beat the throw down to first. The throw had squirted away from the first baseman, and she was able to aggressively take second. And then by the time they got the ball down the foul line in right field, first base side, they threw it away one more time, and she was able to come around and score. Now they got demolished on the hole, so it was not good, but it was a good moment at the end of the game. At least something positive to take from a bad game the other night. She'll have her third game of the week coming up tomorrow night. So as soon as that game's over tomorrow, at roughly 7:30, I will attempt to come home and pack and shower and try to lay my head down to sleep. But there won't be much sleep. So, by midnight, 1 a.m., I might already be on the road driving to Pittsburgh.
Well, listen, I think that deserves to be the Borgo Ball moment that delivered for Pudge's first home run of the season. Borgo Ball moment that delivered, brought to us by our friends at Backyard Baseball Bros. Go to backyardbaseballbros.com. These puppies are in stock. They teased the other day a glow-in-the-dark Borgo Ball. That needs to happen. If Blake and his brothers are listening, Blake Bergonio and his brothers, do it. We will show it off on this podcast. If you want to, send us some more. We love these things. We have them. They're incredible. The raised seams, it feels like you're throwing a real baseball, foam baseball. You can throw it inside. You can hit it inside. Go to their website, backyardbaseballbros.com. Just got a complete refresh. It looks phenomenal, boys. We love it. Borgo Ball moment that delivered goes to Pudge Schasberger right there.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. We did not give out a game ball to any of the players yesterday, so this makes up for it because it was that bad of a game. Although Pudge did have the spark to electrify the Wahlberg Lions 10U team under Coach Rickard, Coach Schass, Coach Huff, and Coach Wimmer on Tuesday night. So thank you. The Borgo Ball will suffice. By the way, I made some connections at softball. We'll get back to baseball. Was introduced to a guy who runs the semi-pro team in Lexington, which I don't want to misspeak. I believe
don't you have a hat from them?
No, that's the Lenore team, which has since moved. More to come on Lenore. They play in the same league, so I've got rival summer collegiate teams that are reaching out to me. Although I'm the one that really starting to nurture and manifest this relationship with Lexington. The Whistle Pigs is what they go by.
What a name.
Sweet. I believe it's Whistle Pigs. You might have to check.
Yes. No, Flying Pigs.
Flying Pigs. That's it. Sweet logo. He's wearing the T-shirt. He was awesome. And then learned a little bit about Mr. Ballgame as well. We might have to try to reach out to do you know anything about Mr. Ballgame? Huge spokesman, advocate for youth baseball on behalf of Major League Baseball.
What a great logo.
He signs a contract with MLB, Mr. Ballgame, huge social media following. A lot of these guys I connected with this week are connected with Mr. Ballgame. So we'll see if anything comes of that. Coach Ballgame.
We need to go to a game for the Lexington Flying Pigs. It's like 20 minutes away. I mean, I'm down. Let's go.
And they play at a field that has a massive hill as well, like a less than 300
field. Yes.
Yeah,
they play through July. They start May 24th, the day before we return from Hoover. And then they go through July 19th. We're going to have to go to a game, Shaz. This is awesome.
Yeah, we'll check them out.
All
They
right.
have their ballpark. I was told the hill is just obnoxiously large. Like, it's a short porch. I don't know if it was like 275 or 285, but the hill is so tall. Like, you still got a jacket like 325, like down the line. Or whatever area of the ballpark. We just need to go and see it. We need to document it so we can more accurately speak about it. But yes, I wanted to bring that to your attention. Super cool. I also want to bring to your attention that Rocco's is on the road in Knoxville, Tennessee this week.
I just looked at the hill, but yes, you're right.
You see the hill?
Rocco's is. I see the hill. That's incredible. That's like Minute Maid Park. Well, formerly Minute Maid Park on steroids. Anyways, Rocco's is on the road. Yes, tell me where.
At CWS Shop Board is where you can follow them on Twitter, on X. A lot of suggestions are piling in for the Tennessee Volunteer fan base as Rocco's goes on the road. They did this last year, if I recall. They're going to watch baseball, make shots, and raise money for charity. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better marriage. So Rocco's, which has become so popular from their time in Omaha with Rocco's Pizza and all the shop making, and Tennessee being the defending national champs, winning it last year. Rocco's going on the road to Knoxville. Pretty cool. As for some of the midweek results that we should note, I'm just looking at my piece of paper, Con. I know you have notes. You can look at the doc, but I'm going to roll through some of the things I saw. I'll leave West Virginia to you, my good friend. Ole Miss lost 7-3 in an early game on Tuesday. It was school day, a lot of children in attendance. 7-3, they lost to Little Rock. They allowed 6 2-out RBI in a 7-3 loss where they left 12 on base. Wake Forest, 16-5. Merrick Houston hit a pop-up that should have been caught by Coastal Carolina. It dropped. He hit it right up the silo. Popped out of the first baseman's glove, I think it was, and then it ended up resulting in a mercy rule win for Wake Forest over Coastal Carolina. It's a key win for them. Wake needed that. That's at home. Coastal is ranked. DBU bases loaded walk in the 10th to beat TCU 6-5. Oklahoma routs OK State in Bedlam. The only time we get Bedlam is in the midweek now. 11-1, 8-inning game in Stillwater. So the Cowboys at home get smoked by 10 by in-state rival Oklahoma in a non-conference matchup. Jason Walk had a grand slam for the Sooners. Georgia did beat Georgia Tech. So Danny Hall's team taking an L at Truist Park on Tuesday night. 5-2, Kobe Branch had a home run. Georgia used 10 pitchers. Louisville 5-2 over WKU. So, Con, that means I missed on that surefire lock, but I did hit on one, right?
You did. Southern Miss down to their final strike. Nick Monaster with a grand slam to stun Southeastern Louisiana on the road 8-7. So you go 1-1. That means on the season, you are now 4-3 for your picks. So you are 4-3 overall for your Shaz surefire locks as you get Southern Miss winning on the road at Southeastern Louisiana. And Western Kentucky did not win at Louisville for Kyle Schasberger in his surefire locks. So you've given me a lot of your midweek picks, Shaz. So let me give you a couple of mine that hit for me. So we got two more that I think I need to bring to our listeners' attention. We got Northeastern defeating Kansas State 11-4, as the Huskies have now won 14 of their last 15. First place in the CAA for Northeastern. And then West Virginia, of course, you left them for me. They come back to defeat Marshall for their 11th win in a row as Chase Swain steals home in the 9th inning for the go-ahead run. And West Virginia gets 11 wins in a row. They win it 5-4. They were down 4-2 in the 6th, and they come back and win it 5-4 with the go-ahead run as Chase Swain steals home to take the victory 5-4 over the Marshall Thundering Herd on the road at Jack Cook Field. Shas, you good? Are you there? You keep dropping in and out on me. Are you back, buddy? Oh,
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, there
Can you hear
are.
me?
Yes, I
Yeah.
hear you now.
Yeah, everything, dude. These cords are just I'm not even hitting anything. It's the USB adapter that I have. That is all.
Oh,
It's like think of a Christmas Story. Okay,
yeah.
where the dad is trying to plug in the leg lamp, and he's like, "Well, it's just one too many," and they're all packed. Like that is my USB extension thing here because our laptops, have so few USB things. So
Yes.
I'm listening. I hear you. The only thing I had to add on the Southern Miss thing quickly was Southern Miss was down to their final strike and out, down 7-4 on that grand slam. Auburn, did you mention Auburn?
No.
Auburn playing at Jacksonville State in a tie game, 3-3 in the ninth. Auburn visiting. They were down to their final strike and out, but in a tie game, but final strike out of the ninth inning in a tie 3-3 game. Lucas Steele pinch hit solo home run. Auburn defeats Jacksonville State. Eli Gold, former voice of Alabama, on the call for ESPN Plus. So that was different. Also, him calling an Auburn home run, which was very lukewarm, as one would imagine. Georgia with that win too over Georgia Tech. 10 ranked wins in their last 12 games. 7 more ranked games coming up with Vanderbilt, Clemson, Oklahoma. Will play 17 of 19. 17 of their next 19 games against ranked opponents. They're on the road at Vanderbilt this weekend, which I know is one we want to note as part of what we're spotlighting. Kansas State is another one for me. Jayhawks got right with an 18-12 win over Wichita State in the midweek. And my final note I have for you, Con, and then you can give me more results. I'm not going to react to anything you said while I was figuring out my audio gear. Let's just get to the weekend slate. But the final thing I will note, and you're not going to like this note, I will say Wiley Ballard of the FanDuel Sports Network was seesawing on Tuesday night. So you think all the smoke got to him or bothered him with him doing what he did on Monday night, asking for some digits? We don't even know he actually got the number. He could have deleted the number. Either way, whatever. We don't need to go there. But the man was seesawing on the concourse on Tuesday. So he is unbothered. He is unbothered. Brandon Gaudin, Godzilla, Wiley Ballard, the whole gang. Life goes on in Atlanta, and Georgia beat Georgia Tech inside their home ballpark, Truist, on Tuesday night.
Yes, they certainly did. All right, let's get to the weekend slate before Shas's equipment craps out on him again. You already mentioned Georgia at number 19. Vanderbilt is part of the SEC slate that we're watching. Of course, the headliner is number 1 Texas visiting number 8 or hosting number 8 Auburn this weekend. That's the marquee matchup. You also got number 2 Arkansas against Texas A&M, who's won 6 in a row. You have 9th rated LSU hosting 15th rated Alabama. In the ACC, we already mentioned Georgia Tech going on the road to Miami. Of course, number 3 Clemson is battling 17th rated Louisville. Number 12 UNC hits the road at Virginia Tech. In the Big 12, the Sunflower Showdown, of course, headlines the slate, Kansas and Kansas State. Number 24 West Virginia will take on Cincinnati. In the Big 10, it's 10th rated UCLA and number 16 Oregon, Michigan and Iowa, Washington and Illinois, the 3 series we're watching in Big 10 play. And the non-P4 games that we're looking forward to, 13th rated UC Irvine will duel Hawaii, USF and Charlotte go toe-to-toe. UTSA battles Tulane and 2 of the top teams in the American Athletic Conference. Cal Poly tries to keep their perfect Big West series streak alive after they took 2 of 3 from Hawaii last week. They now go to Santa Barbara to battle the Gauchos of UCSB. Ball State and Bowling Green tangle in a MAC battle, and then UT Rio Grande Valley goes to southeastern Louisiana to face off with the Lions, who are fresh off of that stunning defeat at the hands of Southern Miss. That's the whole weekend slate as Kyle Schasberger is back with us to close it out.
I am back again. I'm glad you put all those games on there because you covered them all. I was just going to say choose one for each league. We'll get together offline. Trip Hurd is going to join you for show number 2 next week. David and I will be back for Tuesday's drop. We hope you all enjoyed Danny Hall. This has been Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers. Enjoy weekend number 10 coming up.